On May 12, 2019, an anonymous user on 4chan's paranormal board posted a simple, unsettling picture of an empty office space with a caption that read, "If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms." Little did this user know that when he made this post, he opened up a floodgate. Just 1 month after that anonymous 4chan post, a game called the Backrooms game dropped on June 24th, 2019. The Backrooms game, which was produced by Pie on a Plate Productions, was a very minimalist, purely psychological indie experiment. This game was only merely posted in relation to the 4chan post that was made. There was no deep story or complex escape puzzle. Your only goal was to see how deep you could go and wander into level 0 before losing your mind. This game and the 4chan post had no idea what was about to happen. This leads us to January 7th, 2022. Kane Parsons uploads his first Backrooms found footage video. He transformed the concept from a basic internet creepypasta into a cinematic analog horror universe. It blew up with tens of millions of views, introducing everyone to the async foundation lore and CGI analog horror. The lore from the Backrooms that he created spawned so many games it's almost too hard to count, with more still being produced to this day. Fandom as well as the videos made A24 pick up Kane Parsons to direct his own Backrooms movie, being the highest grossing movie that A24 has ever released, and yes, at only 20 years old. Analog horror has slowly become one of my favorite types of games that I get to play, as well as videos that I generally watch online. And today, I want to be able to do a different video than I do on this channel. Today, I have 5 games that I think take the best experience of the Backrooms. I'm going to be ranking these 5 games based on atmosphere, lore accuracy, and its own uniqueness. Now, I know there's a lot of Backrooms games that are out there, and 5 does not cover the vast span of what they lay out. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own perspectives, but this is something that I like to do, at least on my channel, and at least what I think really do a good job at adapting the Backrooms into a video game. I could do another video where I talk about more games that are out there because I know there's plenty, but at least for now, I would like to talk about these 5. Not to mention that I already have uploaded other videos onto my channel as well, which you could check out right here. My other Backrooms videos are more or less a little standalone. I'm not going to use any game from that except for one, just to prove my examples and points. After this video, I plan on uploading the original recording that I did of these videos separately on my channel, so stay tuned for those. A lot of these games are great in their own right. Do not take what I say in this video as gospel. You have your own interpretation, you have your own way of playing. It's different from mine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and launch into the first game. The first game we're going to look at is Backrooms 2005. Released December 16th of 2025 by Render Studios. It takes the Backrooms found footage and puts you almost as if you were there in real life. The long, never-ending hallways are exactly how you would find them in the found footage videos. And in terms of atmosphere, this one creeped me out the most. And it is basically a walking simulator, if you want to be honest with it, but it's still very creepy. There are parts where you are walking around in this, which I felt like I was lost. You get lost pretty easily in there. There were points where I would turn around and I would see the life forms stick out of the walls, which was super, super creepy. Genuinely, the fuzzy noise that I would hear, not only from the lights, but as well as the VCR camera, made it feel pretty realistic. And it was genuinely such a scary experience because I felt so alone in the game, which I know with single players you basically are playing alone, but the instance of no sound and the instance of actually feeling like you're operating this VCR camera in 2005 and not knowing where to go, genuinely really terrifying. Another thing I'm going to be doing is I'm ranking both the 3 categories that I listed above based on a 1 out of 5 scale. For the atmosphere that I felt, both with the way the Backrooms looked and the other areas that were there and how abnormal things would be out of place, I'm going to give the atmosphere a 4 out of 5. It made me feel like I was lost, yet still seeking out the game as it is. The game never gave you any direction, it just dropped you in the middle and said, go find things. And to be honest, that's kind of what I want from my Backrooms experiences when I'm playing games. But I think that's the beauty behind this game, is that there is no direction and you have to just keep walking and figure it out yourself. In terms of lore accuracy, and again, I'm going off lore accuracy based on Kane Parsons' found footage series. Most of the games honestly take a lot from the found footage, but can spin it onto their own. The game looks exactly like I would think the Backrooms was, all these winding hallways that have really abnormal appearances and really out there things that shouldn't be there. So in terms of lore accuracy, if I want to base the game off of what it looked like as well as the idea, I would say it's pretty good. But it's not really technically based off the found footage series to a T. There is the caveman. The caveman does make an appearance, which is pretty cool. It kind of spins it in its own right because these environments haven't been shown in the Backrooms found footage or even the movie, for example. So I will give the lore accuracy a 3 out of 5. The last thing I want to talk about this game is how unique it is. If you want to compare it across the other Backrooms games that are out there, if you look on Steam, It may not be as unique as you really think it is. I'm not saying that the game is bad by any chance, but it is kind of a standard form of backrooms game that you think it would be. It is just a walking simulator, and you are walking around, opening doors, and more or less just figuring out where to go. Again, nothing wrong with that, but a lot of other games kind of do that. And sure, the levels are spun in their own narrative and their own way, but if I really want to be honest, if I could maybe look at other games that kind of do the same thing, I probably end up finding it. So I'm going to give uniqueness a 2 out of 5. I still think that this is a pretty good game overall, and you should definitely go check it out. The next Backrooms game we're going to look at is Backspace. Released in April 29th, 2026 by developers Mostly Farmless Games. Once again, Backspace puts you in the middle of the backrooms, but also a huge universe within it. I think the description on the Steam page best summarizes this game the most. You have found yourself in a space that reminds you of nothing and everything. A space of rooms that are both comfortingly familiar, yet strangely unknown. A space of quiet and loneliness. You have found the backspace. You aren't sure if you are alone. You aren't sure if you want to leave. That's a really good description if you want my opinion. There are a lot of maps in there that I don't think Backrooms 2005 has done. A lot of really random places that feel, again, as if it's normal, but it's not. And why is it there? And it's a huge place. Again, I do get lost in it a lot, but there's so much about it. They also did a really cool thing of a couple tables that have little TVs on it that kind of instruct you as to the mechanics of the game. And my favorite thing about it, and it's just a little detail, the little details get me the most on things like this, is that when you click the pause on the game still runs in the background like normally, but it pulls up like an actual VCR camcorder. Which to me, when I was younger, using VCR camcorders is kind of the coolest thing in the world. It like reminded me so much of when I had camcorders when I was a kid, just recording vacations I went on with my family. There's still so much in the game that shows its own uniqueness in its own right. In terms of atmosphere, it's a lot larger. There are very large rooms throughout the entire game, as well as adapting the backrooms into different settings. And it still felt creepy the whole time, like something was watching you, even though nothing was there. So in my opinion, I'm going to give the atmosphere out of Backspace a 4 out of 5. Still in the VCR camera, you're in different locations, as well as just the normal backrooms as well, and it's very nice. In terms of lore accuracy, probably not the most accurate. Now, it does a good job at transferring levels because when you actually get to an area, you'll go through a null zone. You'll no-clip through the ground, and you'll go into the new level. Something I do appreciate. Overall, if I was about to say lore accuracy, it doesn't really do the best job, but obviously, that's not the point, really, of most of these games, and I don't want anyone thinking that I'm judging it based on the lore and how well adapted it does to the found footage series. Because, I mean, most of these really don't, but the greater it kind of goes around the story of it, the better. Sure, maybe it's not faithful to the classic, but hey, even then, it's still fun in its own right. The last thing I really want to talk about is uniqueness. You know, while it still is a walking simulator, but they have the tutorials there and all the other different maps they have while still getting lost as well and discovering new things as you go, I'm actually going to give it a 5 out of 5. I think it's great. I think it has its own spin in the best possible way while still keeping like its own genre, or like, at least you know it's a liminal horror game. And sure, there are a bunch of other games out there that probably still have, you know, an amazing uniqueness to it, but I think Backspace just does a different job as to what I found. I didn't really feel like a lot of existential dread. More or less, I felt amazement, which didn't feel it scary at times, but at the same time, I did get a little spooked. Most of the time when I'm playing found footage games, or if I'm playing a backrooms games, if I feel like I'm being watched, or I feel like I'm running and I really don't like it, I'm taking my headphones off when I see different levels. Now, I didn't really necessarily feel that in the Backspace as much compared to like Backrooms 2005. I'm a big scaredy cat at the end of the day, but I will say, it was enjoyable. The next game we're going to look at is the Complex Expedition. Now, I know there's another game that was released before this called the Complex Found Footage, but this was the most recent one that I wanted to get my hands on. The Complex Expedition is one of my favorites I had the pleasure of playing. Released on July 18th, 2025 by developer PG Wave, the Complex puts you in the shoes of an async expedition worker. After a routine expedition going into the Complex, something goes horribly wrong. The worker completely loses himself and he's left alone, wandering seemingly into the infinite maze of hallways. Now, this is a part of the game that I really want to highlight the focus on the lore. Because you already are working as the ASIC founders, you're doing the expeditions. There's a rover they use at one point, which is really cool. And surely what they have in the game itself, all the rooms, as well as the actual door that was opened by ASIC or Ivan Beck, that's what I really like the most. I think that this does a pretty good job sticking to the lore, yet being unique as it is, in terms of what you find. The life form isn't there. Instead, this little big, I don't really know the best way to describe the main antagonist of what I see other than Play-Doh character. I know there's an instance of the life form that more or less showed at the end of the game, but I know that figure follows you around the whole game, which is still pretty creepy. I say that, honestly, for lore accuracy, I give it about a 5 out of 5. I think it does a great job putting you in the shoes of an async worker than it does a regular citizen who fell through a null zone and found himself in the back rooms. And you go throughout all these different levels, experiencing like how it was to be an async worker, as well, just looking at the complex itself, and it's really creepy. Still does its own right. It's not totally accurate as it is, but at least in the shoes of an async worker, and at least the idea of what they're going for, I really did appreciate. In terms of atmosphere, 5 out of 5. The mall level is so awesome, but the mall stuff really like piqued my interest the most. I was having the great time walking throughout there, and the lights being on, and you had nothing there. It was really cool. And not even to mention that, just the other levels as well. The pool rooms and the actual back rooms themselves felt a lot different than what I was seeing. It wasn't found footage. It was more or less you were in just the shoes and you were looking at everything. It didn't feel grainy or fuzzy, but yet it felt just like you were there. Now I'm going to show this clip and my actual reaction that I had to as well. There's a level in this game where you are walking down, I think it was like a school hallway, it seemed. And I know I didn't say the life form was really in there, but this is the part where I actually did see the life form, kind of, I guess. And I nearly shit my pants. I'm just gonna have it randomly show up my mouth. Oh no, did you see that? It's things like that that get me so creeped out when something so small happens and there's no sound and it freaks you out. And it's not even a jump scare. It's just creepy. Uniqueness, I'm also going to give like a 4 out of 5. While it still delves with the correct lore accuracy that I like about it, it still is unique in its own right because there's things that just haven't been seen before. Being in the train car, the school hallway, all these other weird little living room areas, as well as the big, again, Play-Doh. I don't know what to call that thing, but that guy. I'm gonna call him that guy for now. So I would give a uniqueness about a 4 out of 5. It was really good, and I think it's perfect for what you're looking for a Backrooms game. I really enjoy it. The next game we're gonna look at, and I lied to you, I am cheating a little bit with this one. We're going to look at Escape the Backrooms. I think a lot of people already know what Escape the Backrooms is. It is a multiplayer Backrooms game, or you could do it single player, and all these different levels that you have to go through with its own unique spin, as well as complex puzzles you have to solve. I have played this before. I also like to give a shout out to my good friend Lambda Man, because he has uploaded a couple Escape the Backrooms videos that we have both been in. At the time of recording this video, we are also attempting to break a Escape the Backrooms speedrun record, because why not? I'm a big Escape the Backrooms fan. I've played it a lot before. I've beaten it a good number of times. I think it's a great game. You can see my video I've made previously, both had Lambda and Cameron Kamblinski as well, but I urge you to go check out Lambda and check out his story games that he's done with it as well. I will be posting that run on this channel as well, at least an edited version of it. So let's talk about the atmosphere of Escape the Backrooms. It certainly has that atmosphere that I'm looking for in terms of being in the Backrooms, but also the other levels in general are also pretty creepy. But in terms of atmosphere and being through different levels that they give you, it certainly feels really creepy, at the same time more like a challenge, because that's the whole point. You're completing the levels. You have to get through and solve the puzzles that come with it. In terms of atmosphere, I'm going to give it about a 3 out of 5. Some of those levels feel really creepy and cool in their own right, and some of them just kind of feel like more or less just a level than it does feel more like just completing the level, and that's all it's about. It feels more or less of like liminal than it does, I say, you know, just beating the game as it is. But it still has its own atmosphere that I like about it, depending on what level you're in. The pool rooms, or even the fun levels are one of my favorites on Escape the Backrooms. I mean, the little like kid areas and the weird little monsters with the balloons, and also it's really difficult. I think it's a really, really good game to get into, maybe less on the atmosphere side. Now, Escape the Backrooms doesn't have the most lore accurate things, except for the life form and except for the obvious Backrooms levels that you see. And even the hub where you're in the tunnel and you get to look on the other side of Async where they have these windows set up, you know, watching everything that's happening. And I also do really appreciate that. I like the fact that the life form's in there. I like the fact that you are async workers. I mean, all of that's super, super cool. So I think in terms of lore accuracy, I give it about a 3 out of 5. It has a good job still showing a little bit of the things that they have in the Backrooms as well, but they have a lot of different monsters that are out there that you don't necessarily will find on the found footage, at least not right now. I do like some of the things that they had in it. I think it's a good spin being faithful as well. Now, uniqueness, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. I mean, it's a very, very creative game. I mean, it more or less feels like you're challenging yourself to get through all these levels with your friends as well, while simultaneously trying not to die and get scared by everything that's around it. I mean, there's so many things that it has. Like, there's so much in it that it's just so unique in its own right, and still kind of like shows you like, hey, rather than Backrooms level, it's the liminal horror that it is as a whole. And I really do enjoy that. I mean, it differentiates so differently from the others just because of how it's like leveled and layered out. And that's why you see speedrunners do things like this. That's why there's skips for it. Like, it's a game that people play a lot because of how great it is and how like different it can be. And that I appreciate a lot. And like I said, I will be uploading a couple videos about that game still on this channel, and I already have previously. Now, this next one you have not heard about, at least not right now. This next one I got exclusive access to play before it's gotten to release so far in terms of the playtest and alpha. I'm talking about Infinitum, the Backroom story. Infinitum is a horror open-world survival co-op story game that's up to 4 players. It's kind of similar to Escape the Backrooms, where it involves levels. Now, this game has not been released yet. However, I had the pleasure of playing it beforehand. I had the pleasure of playing it when its first iteration was out, and now there has been a big update that was done to it where he's starting to work on it more. Now, I say he, I'm talking about Sabato. Sabato is the solo developer behind this game, and I think he has done a great job into trying to take his vision and putting it into this game. Now, there's one reason I wanted to talk about this game, and that's the idea of it. So in this game, it is actually infinite. Kind of like if you were in Minecraft and it's never ending, like there's some sort of spawn happening with outside of the chunk that you're in. That's kind of what this game is. I'm going to read off a DM that me and Sabato were exchanging with. We are hand making rooms with random properties, then those rooms are randomly spawned in a grid style system with random rotations. When having a ton of such rooms, this level becomes super randomly generated with unique paths. This way, we also have the ability to spawn custom rooms on certain conditions, like an objective is active, or if you walked a lot during the level. So something I haven't seen in most of these games is the actual idea of it being infinite, which is kind of the whole point of the Backrooms and the complex. It's infinite. It's never ending. There is no end to it unless you happen to no-clip outside or async finds you or something. There literally is not technically an end to it. Only at the current moment I was able to play was 2 different iterations of the game. The first one I do not have the footage anymore, but that's one where you actually, it's a co-op experience and you get to kind of play it a little bit, and it is infinite with the Backrooms. But then again, that was an early version of it, so I don't want to show that because it's currently still being worked on. The ones I did play, however, most recently was a single player style game. That one was where I was running through like a mineshaft cave. But again, it wasn't fully developed yet. I only got a little taste of it. There will be obviously the Backrooms in it, and there will be obviously a lot of, you know, sort of Easter eggs that go into delving with how this game transpires to being a Backrooms game. But it's also so unique in its own right because it has all these different like crafting experiences you can do, and it's an RPG in its own right. I think that's really cool because not a lot of Backrooms games have done that right now. And the fact that it's literally infinite spawning, to me, is the coolest thing in the world, because I haven't heard anything about that, at least just not to my knowledge. There could be a Backrooms game out there that does do that, but I haven't seen one, and I could be wrong, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. There's also another one that you can kind of play, which is more like a little mini game that he made, which I'll probably be showing out a little bit more with the other video that I do post about it, and that's more of the liminal atmosphere of it. It's just Sabato just showing off, basically. It's just the liminal pool areas, and the lighting's great on it, and you just got to find key cards to open a door. It's not scary. It's just purely on the sense of being a liminal atmosphere, like a little mini game that you can play, and I love that. But that's all there is just right now when I'm playing. We are still waiting on, you know, playtest to come out in early access. He is busy still working on this, so I'm very, very excited to see what he's come up with. In the description of this video, I will be leaving the link to the website that he has on there, as well as the wish list that you can join off of, and his Discord that's there. In terms of atmosphere and lore accuracy, I really can't rank it because the game hasn't fully been out yet, but I've been really wanted to talk about this for a long time now. I think Sabido has poured a bunch of his heart into this game, and I'm super excited to see how the final build transpires to be. I think it's going to be one of the most unique Backrooms games we've seen in quite some time, and I'm hoping just to see what we get from it. Big shout outs to Sabido and Sarah for allowing me to have early access and to be able to talk about this game as well in an early stage that it is. Please check out that game. Cannot wait for when it comes out. And as of right now, that concludes the video. I feel wrong necessarily ranking them out by what I believe is a good game or not, and like putting it from like what's the worst to the best, because I don't really think any of these games are really bad. And I feel like that's just up to your interpretation of what you play and what you do and don't like. I know there's a bunch of other Backrooms games, and if you want other videos like this, leave a comment. Let me know, join my Discord, and let me know what games you want me to play. If you want another Backrooms video like this where I talk about 5 more or even more games, let me know. I'll be down to play it. And I know there's plenty more, but I just wanted to talk about these 5 is all. I'm also interested on making a similar video like this, but more on less just liminal atmosphere. To just be liminal horror games that don't dive into the backroom style game as it is. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment other games that you want, like I said. I'll see you guys in the next one.